So the newest chapter of One Piece has come out from Weekly Shonen Jump, and I decided to go back and reread chapters 879 through 896 of Whole Cake Island, which is the duration of the fight between Luffy versus Katakuri. This fight in total spanned for exactly 13 chapters, with chapters 887, 889, 890 being the only chapters we do not get to see them fight or appear. And there have been two sides of the coin when it comes to this fight. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. For me, I was actually really enjoying this fight, despite the constant pullaways to other events occurring in the arc, such as Big Mom chasing the Thousand Sunny, to Sanji and Pudding preparing the cake, with Capone's scenes being the only exception, since I still do believe he's what has made me enjoy this arc a bit more than I was initially at the start. But back to the fight. After having reread the fight again, I've come to terms that the only way to understand how this fight worked out is something going back to pro wrestling. I view Luffy as the challenger and Katakuri as the champion. The fight starts out with Katakuri showing his dominance over Luffy, utilizing the latter's gattlings in his own way to land in some hits, which causes Katakuri to draw first blood on Luffy. No matter how many times Luffy attempts to dodge Katakuri, he's not able to stay focused, which allows Kat to deliver some powerful kicks on Luffy. And as Luffy goes in for an elephant gun, he's met with a similar attack coming back his way, sending him flying and crashing. This shows the early stages of what Katakuri meant in regard to utilizing colors of observation, that if you can't stay focused, you cannot use it to the best of your ability. As the fight itself progresses, two things begin to stand out immediately with Luffy: his will to never give up and his ability to absorb damage over a long period of time, the latter being a factor to how he's been able to withstand Katakuri's offense throughout the fight. Keep in mind that Luffy was taking all this punishment without even going into Gear 4th, and the very moment he attempted to go into it, Katakuri was able to stop him by using his Awakened Fruit's power to hold him down. After supposedly having now trapped Luffy and Mochi, a factor into Katakuri's downfall is shown in chapter 883, his cockiness. He believed the fight was over, so he went over to eat his merienda, which he was 40 minutes late because of Luffy lasting longer than what Katakuri expected out of him. But Katakuri made a mistake upon walking away, as Luffy began to consume the mochi, burn off the food he ate, and went right after the shrine that Katakuri was staying in. As soon as Katakuri's true face was revealed, his anger began to show, and most importantly, his lack of focus when he's enraged, to which Luffy is able to exploit by landing a kick to Katakuri's temple as his opponent was no longer calm. Now, having entered Gear 4th, Luffy begins his own onslaught on Katakuri, raining down strikes while attacking the Yonko commander, making him lose his focus in order to land his hits. But by the time Katakuri realized Luffy's game plan, he went back to focusing on defense and began his own counterattack, with him now declaring that he will no longer show vulnerability to Luffy again. As long as Katakuri remains calm, he states that he is invincible, to which Luffy states that he'll find another weakness because he can't be defeated. But as seen in Dressrosa, Luffy's time limit in Gear 4 concludes, so he opts out early to preserve strength in order to replenish his stamina. Having found Brûlé in the midst of distancing himself from Katakuri's chase, he departs the Mirror World and onto Nuts Island. Fast forward to chapter 886, where Luffy recalls his teachings from Rayleigh with how haki runs out as you use it. If the fight goes on long enough, Katakuri's observation haki is going to get weaker, as well as Rayleigh saying that to further your own growth in haki, you must continue to use it in extreme use in battle, for which will advance. The stronger foes you face with this power, the stronger you'll become with it. And we can say that even before this was brought up, Luffy has gotten progressively stronger over time from Dressrosa up until this point in the story. Now fast forward to chapter 891, where another factor as to why I compare this fight to pro wrestling is outside interference. But before getting into that, remember what I stated about Luffy increasing his base form throughout this fight? This chapter shows Luffy's endurance and durability growing even further with every strike he takes from Katakuri. Now distractions appear in the early and later stages of the fight, either from Brûlé, the Snake Neck Twins, or Flampe. Only the latter is proved more decisive, since Flampe's actions resulted in Luffy being pierced by Katakuri's trident, to which the Rock of the Big Mom Pirates proceeds to stab himself in the midsection to even things out. And after utilizing Haki of the Supreme King, the fight continues onwards from an even standpoint, with nobody to distract these two men from going all out anymore. This is where another one of Katakuri's weaknesses is brought out, his pride. He doesn't want others to meddle in his business, as shown with his displeasure of Flambe interfering in the fight. Had Luffy never been hit with the trident, Katakuri would never have stabbed himself in the midsection to even things out. Thus, they both continue the fight with similar wounds sported. While Luffy does state that there is no such thing as fighting dirty in a battle between pirates, an opportunity was open as soon as Katakuri sustained a similar injury to him, which he would later exploit at the very end of this fight. And after another flashback of Rayleigh discussing observation haki, Luffy is told that he'll probably face people with the power to see into the future, to which in order for him to be able to deal with these kind of people, he has to get to know their personality. Having seen both the cockiness and pride of Katakuri, as well as having been hit with everything but the kitchen sink, Luffy is ready to turn the tables on this fight. He enters a calm state, proceeds to dodge some of Katakuri's offense before being sent flying back, but as Katakuri's fatigue starts to come into play, Luffy jumps right back at him and nails him in the jaw. Time continues to move forward, with the fight lasting from 3:30 PM to 12:50 AM. Luffy proceeds to do everything he can to move time further and further to the meeting time, wearing down Katakuri's haki as much as he can, while furthering his own in extreme use in his base form. As the clock strikes 12:05, Luffy is able to reserve enough of his haki in order to enter the next phase of Gear 4th, Snake Man. Now this has been the talk of the community for the last couple of weeks. Why would you use this form now instead of at the start of the fight? At the time, Luffy was trying to understand how Katakuri fights, so that he was able to figure out how to wear him down to utilize Gear 4th when the time was right. He had the power, but it was taking time for him to land a hit, which gave Katakuri a chance to easily dodge his attacks, thus realizing that power alone wasn't enough. This is where Snake Man comes into play. With him now in a faster form, on top of Katakuri having been worn down from using up his haki throughout the fight, Luffy is able to start up his own attack on Katakuri. He launches a left, seemingly misses, and only to come back and land a hit on Katakuri. As stated in chapter 895, when using Python, the more his arm stretches, he'll accelerate. He is now hitting Katakuri with attacks that have more speed and power than before. The downfall to that is when using Python, as seen in the recent chapters, that Luffy remains in place, giving Katakuri the chance to attack him while he's still standing. And towards the end of the fight, we see Katakuri utilize a move called Buzzcut Mochi, which he is able to catch Luffy and smash him straight into the ground. He thinks he has the fight won, only for Luffy to kick out and fire up another comeback. Katakuri doesn't understand how Luffy continues to keep on going despite the amount of damage that he has taken during the fight, and with both men landing each other with numerous strikes throughout the battle, the time has come to finally settle things. Both men hitting their respective finishers. Luffy with King Cobra, Katakuri with Buzzcut Mochi. Remember how I talked about Snake Man having more speed and power behind this form? Seeing that this is in the manga, whereas in the anime we'll actually see the impact of the attack, King Cobra was a bit more faster than Buzzcut Mochi, and Luffy was able to hit Katakuri with the full force of his attack. While Katakuri was able to hit his, the impact was just a little bit less. And where was the place Luffy's attack was about to land on Katakuri? The injury Katakuri gave himself in chapter 893. Katakuri's attack is coming from an above angle, so the panel in chapter 896 only shows us what seems to be the after effect of both attacks, but Luffy's attack was just a bit more faster and landed first. Having done everything he could to put Luffy down, Katakuri knew that no matter what he did, he couldn't defeat Luffy, as his will would never allow him to accept defeat. And the lethal damage to Katakuri's wound that he took from King Cobra were signs that he could no longer continue the fight. And him asking Luffy will he come back one day to settle the score with Big Mom could be taken as an underlining of a potential rematch between the two someday. However, if that happens, I don't see it happening anytime soon at Whole Cake Island, but I'll save my thoughts for that on another day. Now, is this fight a draw? No. I still believe that the one who walks away from their fight with their head held high is the clear-cut winner. Both men did fall to the ground at the very end. In Katakuri's case, he knew the amount of pain he took from King Cobra. He knew there was no way he could continue, so he accepted defeat, meaning the winner of the fight was Monkey D. Luffy. This is why I believe the fight between Luffy versus Katakuri makes sense when looking back at the fight as a whole in pro wrestling terms. The champion starts off strong and eventually his cockiness comes into play, overlooking his opponent and tuning him out. The second the opponent has him rattled, he comes back firing, but out of rage with no focus. The outside interference did play a role in Luffy winning the fight, as Katakuri's injury was something Luffy was not targeting throughout the fight, only until the very last second. Katakuri was not paying attention to any possible chance that Luffy would strike him in the area that he's received the most damage, and with him going all in on offense, Luffy would attack his head. He swings low and lands a critical blow to Katakuri's wound. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and I want to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And what do you guys think of Luffy versus Katakuri? Does the fight make sense of how Luffy was able to defeat Katakuri? I want to know your thoughts and your actual points, if they differ from mine, if they're anything similar. But let me know down in the comment section below. Do you guys consider this to be the best fight in One Piece that we've seen thus far? For me, I still think Luffy versus Lucci is the best fight in One Piece, but this one right here, I say is easily the best fight that we've seen thus far in the New World. So if I had to look at it in the overall grand scheme of things, right now, as of this moment, I consider this to be the #2 fight from a fighting aspect, from fights, punches, kicks, all the shebang, the whole 9 yards, everything you want to talk about when it comes to these fights. This right here is the #2 best fight in all of One Piece. So that's my opinion on it, but let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you liked the video, leave a like on it if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next One Piece video. So Commodore Laz, signing off. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, take care.